Ugh, my head. What? Where am I? What? You want me to tell you a story? Here? In the woods? You'll let me leave if I tell you a story? Okay. I submit to the collective this tale. We were only 14, but that day changed everything. If we knew then what we know now, we never would have gone into the house on Creighton Street. The four of us always had to push things to their limits. We had to not only test ourselves, but our friendships too. We took it too far and paid the price. We just were 14. Ray, Austin, Caitlin, and I, we were the losers. We were the shadows along the endless rows of lockers, shifting past everyone as they passed us in the halls. No one paid us any mind. The teachers, the bullies, the jocks, and the nerds. Every day was a new adventure to see how far we could push things. There's freedom in the non-existence that we live in. It became a game of sorts to see who could get away with the most ridiculous of things. Austin currently holds the record for stealing all of the spoons out of the cafeteria. Each day, as the final bell rang out, the four of us would gather in the courtyard and make our way to this park on Creighton Street. It wasn't a particularly interesting park, but for us, it was our kingdom amongst the trees. Ray in his hand-me-down clothes, 3 sizes too big, led the way. He is the tallest and most athletic. Behind him is Austin. Austin always wore the darkest black clothing he could find, which usually consisted of a dress shirt and faded black jeans. He always has his face buried in the most current book he is reading. At the back is Caitlin and I. Caitlin moved with a determined fluidity. She always wore her auburn hair tied back with a red ribbon. The others never really paid her much mind, but something about her always struck me as beautiful. Then there's me, the boy in the cracked leather jacket and ripped chucks. Across the street from the park, sitting in its rotten ruin, is the house. We never learned who lived there. It was always just the house. At first we didn't give it much attention, but as the days dragged into months, our curiosity got the better of us. Keeping in the spirit of pushing our limits, I tried to go to Ray. "Hey Ray, why don't you go up and grab a paper off the porch? Or are you too scared?" "Shove it, Dan. Why don't you go get the damn thing yourself?" I laughed as Ray started to turn red. "Would both of you knock it off? I'm trying to concentrate," Caitlin groaned. She looked up from her travel-worn sketchbook. She took that thing with her everywhere, doodling and sketching the sights around her. I turned to Austin and nudged him in the shoulder. "I bet you $1 Ray won't do it," I said. Austin gave me a sideways glance from behind his book. "You're on." Ray jumps up with a huff and stomps his way over to the old house. You can hear the creaks of the rotted wood as he angrily climbs the steps. Austin and I watch from a bench as he reaches the pile of yellowed and waterlogged newspapers just in front of the door and grabs one. "Huh, I didn't think he'd do it," I say, amazed. As Ray makes his way back across the porch triumphantly, he stops and turns back toward the front door. You can tell that inspiration struck as he runs back towards the door. With all his strength, he hammers on the door with his fist, the dull thuds echoing all the way back to us. Smug with success, Ray once again starts his walk back to us. He only gets a few feet away when we hear a loud, heavy thud. A cloud of dust obscures everything. A loud, shrill scream breaks the silence as Ray sprints down the steps with maniacal fury. "Rats! Rats!" Ray yells. It's a large swarm of sickly, brownish-yellow rats cascade down the steps after him. The three of us burst into laughter as Ray finally rejoins us. "Here's your stupid paper," Ray yells as he throws the soggy paper at me. "Thanks, Ray," I laugh, wiping the remnants of paper off my coat. "What was with all the rats?" Caitlin asks. "They came out of the house after the door fell in," Ray says, a bit out of breath. "Want to check it out?" Austin asks. We all look at each other and silently decide. Little did we know that hour would be Ray's last. The four of us cross the street to the house. The whitewash siding has peeled and flaked. Many of the windows are boarded up. A pile of old, yellow newspapers sits in front of the gaping maw that is the front entrance. "What do you think we'll find inside?" Ray asks. "Who knows? Probably nothing interesting," I shrug. "We won't know till we go in," Caitlin says, tucking a tuft of her hair behind her ear. We all stand at the entrance a moment. No one dares to take the first step inside. "I don't think this is a good idea," Caitlin says sheepishly. "Don't be a wuss," Ray says, pushing his way past her into the house. The living room was large. Broken furniture lay scattered throughout the room. Tattered curtains hung in front of the boarded-up windows. A carved staircase winds upwards to the second floor. The head of a horse adorns the post at the bottom. Let's check out this floor first, Austin says, heading off to the left. We all break off in different directions. Caitlin and I end up in the kitchen. A small table sits against the wall. Plates and cups sit in order as if someone had only recently set them. The door that would lead out to the backyard is barred with heavy boards and nails. Trash litters the floor. A floral pattern wallpaper rolls off the wall in coiled flaps. Cans and paper scatter as we walk around the room. A large refrigerator hangs open towards the end of the kitchen. That's weird, I say as I stand in front of the refrigerator. What's that? Caitlin says. It's still cold, I reply. We make our way back to the entrance. The sound of rats scuttling through the walls cuts the stillness of the house. Ray and Austin meet us a moment later. Find anything, I ask? Ray drops a backpack from off his shoulder. Just this. Looks like it's been here a while. The yellow fabric is frayed and heavily worn. The front pouch hangs open and papers poke out from it. One of the straps is torn, almost as if it was ripped off. Ray dumps the contents of the backpack out on the collapsed couch. Old worksheets and yellowed notepads fall out of the bag. Inside a smaller pouch we find what looks like a diary. It's hard to read, but it looks like there's a name on the cover, he says, looking over the small book. R. Watson. I wonder who that is. A light thud interrupts us. Sounds like it came from upstairs, I say. Probably just a raccoon or something, Ray shrugs. A small brass lock hangs off the clasp of the diary. With a quick tug, Ray is able to rip the lock off. He takes a moment to thumb through the old book. What's the matter, Ray? Can't you read? Austin jokes, giving him a playful shove. Shut up, dude. Listen to this. I finally did it. I finally ran away from home. I couldn't take living with those people anymore. That stuff took my parents away. I look around at everyone. What stuff? I'm not sure. This is definitely a girl's handwriting, Ray says. Ray flips through a few more pages till he hits the end of the diary. He reads it out to us. I never should have come to this house. I miss my family. I miss Hopper. It will find me in... In what? Caitlin asks, leaning in towards Ray. Nothing. The writing stops there, Ray says. Lame. Let's head upstairs, Austin huffs. I don't know, guys. We should probably head back to the park, Caitlin says with a shiver. I can see the tremble in her hand as she grabs it. Come on, Caitlin, it'll be fun. How often do you get to explore a true abandoned house, Ray says as he and Austin start to climb the stairs. It's okay. I'll be right here with you, I tell her. She nods and we follow Ray and Austin upstairs. Each step creaks and groans as we climb. A thick layer of dust coats the handrail. The stairs lead up to a small landing on the second floor. Scraps of cloth, old clothes, feathers, and other debris litter the floor. Several doors line both sides of the second floor, their paint yellowed with age. Flakes off the door and covers the floor in front of them. At the end of the hallway sits a single, more decorative door. Wonder what's behind that door, Ray says, making his way down the hall. Tendrils of cobwebs hang from the ceiling. Faded sunlight seeps out from under the doors lining the hallway. You can hear each step Ray takes as he inches closer and closer to the decorated door. The door is carved with an intricate design of a horse rearing up against a prairie. A glass knob sits off to the left-hand side. Here we go, Ray says, turning the knob. He shakes it with an anxious fury to no success. Darn it, it's locked, Ray says. A loud slam echoes from the first floor. Caitlin jumps at the noise. What the hell was that? Austin screams. We all rush down the stairs. The once open doorway is now blocked with the door and broken furniture. Oh man, what are we going to do? Caitlin yelps. I can feel her trembling as she grabs onto my arm. Let's look for another way out, I say. I think there was another door in the dining room, Ray says. We head out of the living room and make our way to the dining room. A few faded pictures hang crookedly on the wall. Off-white eyes stare at us from the family photo facing the living room. The men are dressed in sharp black suits, and the older woman stares into the camera with an almost malicious intent. The door Ray was talking about is just off the dining room. The door is cracked and warped, bowing out slightly into the room. A cool draft flows out from under it. Bet this leads to the basement, Austin said. He pulls on the handle and the door opens with a deadening creak. Narrow stairs lead down into the moist, black maw of the basement. A single cord dangles from a dusty light fixture above us. Austin reaches up and pulls the cord. Dim light pushes back against the darkness before us. I didn't think that would work. The four of us head down the stairs into the dark. The damp air smells of stagnation. You can hear a slow drip of water hitting a small puddle further into the basement. Hopefully there is a way out, Caitlin said. Moldy boxes and dirty shelves line the walls of the basement. Various jars and bottles are scattered about the shelves. A dim beam of light shines through the far side of the basement. Looks like there's our exit, Ray exclaimed. We rush over towards the light, hoping that it would lead to our escape. My foot catches something soft and I fall to the floor. I feel my head hit the damp concrete and the air bursts out from my lungs. The room starts to spin for just a moment. Are you alright? Austin asks, picking me up from the floor. Yeah, I'll be okay, I say, rubbing my head. In the gray light of the basement, I can make out the silhouette of Ray shoving some trash to the side. I found the door, but, Ray said. Let me guess. Locked, Austin said. Ray nods his head in defeat. The basement stairs groan as if something heavy is going up them. What was that? Caitlin shrieks. We hear the sound of heavy footsteps above us and the sound of furniture being moved. I guess the only way is up, I said. The four of us make our way back across the basement to the staircase, the treads slick with a slimy wetness. The table and chairs in the dining room have been thrown across the room. Two of the chairs are completely smashed. The trail of film from the basement winds back into the living room. We gotta get out of here, Austin whispers to us. We all nod in agreement. Smashing and bangs emanate from what sounds like the kitchen. Let's go back upstairs. Maybe we can get out onto the roof and climb down, Ray says. I nod and we all hurriedly rush towards the horsehead stairs. Slimy footsteps haphazardly stutter in the direction of the kitchen. Ray points a finger to the top of the staircase. We tiptoe up the stairs as fast as we can. Each creak gives us a panic attack. In what feels like hours, we finally reach the landing again. The decorative door at the end of the hallway is open ajar. Ray races down the hall towards the door. Just as he reaches the opening, a gaunt hand grabs him and pulls him into the room. Ray screams in terror. You can hear him fighting the hand just beyond the door. It isn't long till his screams grow more frantic. Austin and I race towards the door to try and save him. I kick the door open with all my might. A tall, withered husk holds Ray high into the air. Dusty gray hair hangs in matted clumps from its skeletal head as greenish drool drips from its lips. Its piercing yellow eyes dart between Ray and us. Each breath it takes is wet and raspy. It raises Ray up towards its face. A crusty smile spreads across its rotted teeth. Wet gurgling erupts from its mouth as it unhinges its jaw like a snake. In a single, swift motion, it shoves Ray into its gaping maw. Ray fights back as best he can, but it's helpless against it. The creature gulps once, and Ray slides farther into its mouth. Ray kicks hard against the air, his shoes flying off in the process. Austin and I scream and run out of the room. Caitlin looks confused and scared as we grab her hands and race down the stairs. Heavy footsteps thud from upstairs as it begins to chase us. We hit the blocked front door in record time and tear apart the barricade it built. With every piece we remove, the louder the steps become. Thump, 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 beating like a heart. Austin pulls the last piece of couch away from the door and it falls outwards. The three of us sprint with all our strength onto the cracked asphalt of Creighton Street. We scream our heads off, hoping someone will help us. I look back into the house for a split second. The creature is standing there in the doorway, greenish drool pouring from its mouth. It isn't long until the police arrive. 2 officers check the house and the surrounding area. No signs of any creature or Ray. The only thing they find are Ray's shoes in the upstairs bedroom. They didn't believe us. The officers said that house had been abandoned for a very long time. They said Ray just ran away and would be back in a few days. They were wrong. We never saw Ray or that creature ever again.